Good morning, guys. It is Friday, July 19th, 2024. This Bathrobe business. I'm Georgi Yoganov. I got the coffee and I got the news. So it's extra, it's a busy day from a news standpoint because there's a major outage across most Microsoft products, along with what is the other company? I cannot remember their name now. It's CrowdStrike. So there's major outages, there's airport outages. So this is a major issue. From what I understand, I only looked at this in passing. It looks like it's from, I believe, an update that Microsoft did. I don't know if this is a cyber attack and we're just not getting the full story, but let's just click on the video and take a look, I guess. Let's see what it says. So, disrupted Friday while TV broadcast went online. CrowdStrike major disruptions. Yeah, so there's not really, this is not a security incident or a cyber attack. At least that's what they're saying. So that's that. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't feel like it affects, obviously it affects business, but I don't feel like there's much to report on that. And there's not much of an opinion I can give you on that. So I'm trying to find stories that are unique, and I'm trying to find stories that aren't in the mainstream that are affecting the market. Everything is about either the outage right now or the election. So I'm going to focus on a story from a couple of days ago. This is one a couple of stories I've compiled over the last couple of days that I want to share with you guys. And then this is going to be the first. So there's a major chip stock slump ahead after Biden reportedly considered more restrictions on China. So this is more of the protectionist stuff we've been seeing from both administrations, both Trump and Biden. And I think at this point, it's almost a certainty that Trump is going to come back into power. And I think it's just going to continue. Now, one thing that is to be considered, Biden is actually much better at restrictions than Trump. There's kind of not a question. Biden has been in politics his entire life. Biden has a deep pool of people that he can call on, and he is much more efficient with his restrictions. Donald Trump loves to talk about it. He loves to bluster. He'll post stuff on Twitter. And I mean, to some extent, that's a technique as well. It is the bully pulpit. Many presidents have done that very well, from Theodore Roosevelt to Richard Nixon at times. But at the end of the day, it's really policy that makes a difference. And Biden has done more with restricting relations with China than Trump has. The greatest trade deficit drop between us and China was under Biden. So Biden, last year, we exceeded trade with Mexico than we did with China. So I know this sort of trend will continue. The biggest question is Donald Trump going to be as effective at it as Joe Biden? So what this story is talking about is actually kind of interesting and kind of complex, and I don't fully understand how they're going to accomplish this. So why this is a complex story. So ASML, this is the company that actually builds all of the machinery that builds high-end chips. So this is the machine that builds the machine. And they are a Dutch company. And so how they're going to restrict this is still a mystery to me, because if you read the article, all they're saying is that they called the foreign direct it's called the foreign direct product rule as a means to restrict China from accessing high-end chips. And under the FDPR rule, the U.S. can impose export controls on goods made by foreign companies if any U.S. origin technology is in the production of the operation of the item. So that's pretty big. I mean, that essentially means that if your company has toothpicks that they purchase from the U.S., the U.S. can essentially restrict your ability to sell into other markets. But at the end of the day, I don't know how they're going to enforce this, simply from the fact that ASML is still a Dutch company. So how they're going to enforce this is unclear to me. I don't understand what kind of pressure they could leverage. I mean, obviously, the United States can leverage a lot of pressure, but from a legal standpoint, I don't know how this is going to work. But the fact that they are considering this shows that they probably have the power to do it. So we'll keep our eyes open on what comes to fruition with that. But this, like I said, is probably going to, this kind of sentiment is going to continue into the Trump administration. It's just unclear if it's going to be as effective. The other story I want to talk about is obviously my favorite subject, gold. So we know that interest cuts are coming, despite the fact that I don't think they should be. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But as we've seen, asset prices are already increasing. So gold, it's actually cooled off a little bit. It hit a new record high of 24.67. I believe it actually hit 24.98. But I could be wrong on that. But either way, gold is at an all-time high. And it's cooled off a bit just above 2,400, but there's no question that this number is going to keep going up and up and up. So anything they tell you about inflation, remember, it doesn't really matter what a basket of products costs because that can be based on the supply chain. But when your raw gold, raw oil, raw land prices go up globally and domestically, it means inflation is going up. They can try to weasel their way out of this with CPI and PCE numbers all they want. If asset prices are increasing, inflation is going up. If wages are increasing, inflation is going up. And if you'll remember, I shared in a previous video just last week, I think it was last Friday with you, about how wages are continuing to go up nationally and how the national average is above 17 in most areas now. Which again, wages I'm not necessarily against, but at the end of the day, that still is inflationary. So keep an eye on that. Last story I want to talk about is actually Amex. So this is a story that's out today. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you guys seeing that? I don't know if you were seeing that. So sorry about that. I guess you weren't seeing the previous page, but here we go again. Gold is above 2,400. So there you go. So now let's talk about Amex. So this I feel like is a powerful story because it's exemplifying how much spending is still in the market. So this is an article from Yahoo Finance. So Amex lifts 2024 profit forecast on robust spending by affluent customers. So not only did they have a fantastic second quarter, they're actually raising guidance for the entire year. As spending is continuing on retail, on leisure, on hospitality, everything across the board is increasing. So the company sees its 2024 earnings per share between $13.30 and $13.80 versus $12.65 and $13.15, which was the earlier forecast. They're seeing a 39% higher spending than they were a year before. So spending is on the rise, especially with affluent customers, which is the majority of what Amex customers are. That's obviously changing. I myself use a Chase card. I know lots of people that have actually switched from Amex to Chase simply because you get a lot of the same benefits without a lot of the additional costs. However, there still is the majority of people with Amex cards are those in a higher tier of income, and their spending is still continuing astronomically and increasing. So there's still plenty of liquidity. There's still plenty of spending in the market. So that's why I will say that cutting interest rates again doesn't make any sense when you've got this strong of an economy and unemployment is still very low. And we've looked at trucking data that shows that there's still tons of shipments going around across the country. Spending is high, purchasing is high, retail numbers are coming in high. Inflation is still coming in above target, but they're getting too much pressure from the political side and also from Wall Street. There's no question that Wall Street wants lower interest rates because it benefits them and not us here in the middle and lower classes. So this is going to be something that's going to continue, and it's probably just going to increase when interest rates drop even lower. So spending is going to increase, and so will inflation. That's pretty much it. That's the last story of the day. Like I said, there's not too much to focus on if it's not election based and if it's not based on the outage right now. So that's the last story of the day. I hope you guys have a productive day. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys back here Monday.